All right, week 8, done. Halfway through the NFL season, more than halfway through the fantasy season. Recap of last week: I beat Tyler 152 to 115. Matt beat Carbs 141 114. Rusty beat Bobby 139 to 86. Ted beat Reed in an absolute butt clincher with TJ Watt getting that last play there, 146 145. Gaddy beat Sidnam 131 to 103. And Brad beat Duels 103 to 93. So, as we always do, we start from the bottom. Bobby's still 1-7, least amount of points scored, so still at 12. But we all kind of know the situation with Bobby's team. It's kind of the same thing every week. But Malik Neighbors coming back. He's got to hold on to the football for a couple of those plays. But overall, Brock Bowers has been everything you've asked for in a tight end. He's going to be a stud, and he has been even with that Raiders team, which is not very good. Duels at 11 at 2-6. The last couple weeks have been bad. Devin Singletary losing carries to Tyrone Tracy has not helped. You haven't got the performances from Jaden Reed the last couple weeks. Dooley also now right at the bottom in points for. So it was going well with Dooley's team in the last 2 weeks. It's really kind of spiraled. So I would say at this point, Dooley's now at 11. Sidnam at 10 at 4-4. I know there's a couple teams 3 and 5 that are ahead, but to be fair, second to last in points for, and then has the second least amount of points against. So plays DK Metcalf again. You know what? I play him Sidnam this week. I don't even think he's gonna watch this. Keep DK in. I heard he might play this week. I heard he's gonna probably play. So keep him in, and just leave him there. It's fine. And his running backs have not been good either. So that's been a big issue. But 4-4, still in the mix there for a playoff spot. There are a lot of teams there at 4-4. Rusty's team at 3-5, really good week. Good to see Tyreek Hill be back with Tua, and that I think could have a really good trajectory. Need Javonte Williams to step up. I know Taylor's going to be fine. But with Javonte, he hasn't gotten the production I think that they thought he would get this year. But love what I've seen from Ladd McConkey. Clearly been the number one guy with the Chargers with Herbert. So I like what I've seen so far with Ladd. So I think Rusty's team's on a good trajectory right now. Matt at 8. Matt was at 8 last week. Lost Godwin, but Cedric Tillman had a really good game with the Browns. Jameis got him on that long touchdown to win the game against the Ravens. Achane and Swift have been really good. Kyler Murray had a good game last week against the Dolphins. So despite the slow start and despite having the most points against Matt's team, right there on the bubble for a playoff spot. Brad at 5-3. It's won 3 in a row. Good stuff, Brad. And McCaffrey after the bye, it seems like he's coming back. So McCaffrey fully rested, going to be not on a pitch count or anything like that. I expect him to come out, and the 49ers really need him. So I expect him to have a big workload right away for McCaffrey. But the issue I still have is 10th in points for, and that's the least amount of points scored against. So there has been a little bit of a luck factor at the 5-3 record. But if the season ended today, Brad would be back in the playoffs. So there's that also. Carbs at 6-6. 4-4, but at 6. Team still solid. Josh Jacobs has been much better as of late, really, especially now with Jordan Love hurt. We don't know what's going to happen with him, but maybe they're going to use Jacobs a little more, but was really good on Sunday against the Jaguars. So I think that could really help, especially with Montgomery still being a workload with the Lions. Ted at 5-3 squeaked out a win against Reed. Another nail biter there. But CeeDee Lamb all the way back. Had a great game. 13 catches, $140 with 2 touchdowns. Put up 40 points in this game. You get the kind of production from CeeDee Lamb moving forward. That's just a guy that can really carry a fantasy team. And I think Ted set himself up to have a really good second half there, especially with some of the guys coming back off the IR. Tyler at 4, but I'm a little worried about Tyler's team because I know he's right there in points for, fourth in points for. Big matchup against Reed. We'll get into that in a little bit. But no Stephon Diggs. And you're asking, Tank Dell to take a lot of the load. And I don't know how he's going to respond now being the number one guy until Nico comes back. And now with Richardson being benched, so you got to play Dak. So there's just, I know Henry and Barkley have been awesome, but there's got to be some, there's got to be some continuity there. And I just don't know where you're going to get it from. So Styler's still at 4, but, I'm a little worried about Tyler's team. I'm going to be honest. That Diggs injury is a big one. Reed at 3. It's just had really 2 brutal losses. Put up a $136 last week, lost to me. I put up 161. Then he puts up 145. He thinks he's going to win it, and then TJ Watt goes off against the dog shit Giants, and he ends up getting a last minute loss. So just a tough loss by Reed. That's why he's still at 3, 4-4. But again, has K-Dot now on the bench. The depth is good. The team overall looks good. So I think Reed's going to be, looking right there at that number 3 spot. And I think he'll stay there, but has to win against Tyler this week. I'm at number 2. Have first in points 4. Mixon, Kyron, and Gibbs have just been monsters the last few weeks. And again, Brian Thomas Jr. has just been a stud steal for me. I couldn't have asked for much more from that guy. And then Gaddy at number 1, still 7-1. Right now, I think he's still sitting with the best team. Has won 3 in a row, only 1 loss. But there has been, his points against has been a little lower than most. So you would, there's been a little bit of luck there, but I still think Gaddy's team's really good. The only team that has 7 wins. And, I like Garendo. That's an underrated, he's got some, I'm not saying he's going to be a big factor now with McCaffrey coming back, but I do like what I've seen from Garendo kind of as a bench guy there. And, didn't play Mahomes last week. Is Mahomes going to be, taken off a little bit in the second half? Who knows? So there's the rankings for week 8. I play Sidnam. Ted plays Matt. Brothers from Fox Run. Good matchup there. 2 teams playing well. Gaddy versus Brad. Brad's on a 3-game winning streak. He's going up against the number 1 team. Can he knock him off? Rusty versus Carbs. Rusty's team's playing a little bit better. Carbs' team took a little bit of a step back, but I still think his team's really solid, so that's a good matchup there. We got the battle of the bottoms with Dooley and Bobby, but obviously it's going to be about who gets the draft. It might be a draft pick situation here. And the matchup that we've all have been talking about, Reed versus Tyler, 2 guys that absolutely hate each other, 2 guys that have talked more shit to each other. The ratio of the amount of shit that they have talked and the amount of times they've actually met in person is the widest gap I've ever seen. But it's a true rivalry. It's the biggest rivalry in this league. Reed is now at a 7-point favorite as of right now. That spread, I think, is going to go up. I'm taking Reed. I just think with the Diggs injury, that is going to be a lot. And I think if Tyler really kind of needs a lot from the quarterback play, which he hasn't gotten, and I just think Reed's team's kind of coming into form right now, and I just don't see him losing 3 in a row in just the way he's lost games. So I'm going with Reed, and I think Reed covers the spread with the -7. So that's the power rankings for week 8. I will see you guys next week.